where it's too less of a reaction time. So the car is also working while you're working, and it will only intervene when it's needed.
Coming up, the rewards that come with leaving your comfort zone.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. We all like our comfort zone because stepping out of it could mean taking a risk, often a big risk. Would you be prepared to take that risk? In our Journey to Success series, we meet technopreneur Nicholas Goh. Leaving the comfort zone of a cushy corporate job, he stepped into the unknown and set up his own one-man business. His business is now an international operation with over 300 employees in 8 cities.
I remember in secondary 1 where I attended a workshop on computers. I saw how they use the computers to program a set of instructions to actually operate those Lego toy cars so that these cars can actually move forward, sideways and backwards. So I was really fascinated with that, and it sort of sparked my interest in the way how computers work. So I actually went online, borrowed a lot of books from the library and read up a lot on how computers work and the various hardwares that can be put together to build a computer of my own. So I actually saved a lot of my own pocket money to build my own PCs for my own family members as well.
As his interest in computers grew, Nicholas pursued a computing management degree and came back to work for IBM in 1997. While his day job took up his weekdays, his weekends were spent on his interest, web design.
People engage me on a freelance basis, and most of the contacts who had approached me were recommended by friends. I did my best to help them. The projects range from $500 to about $3,000. And typically it will take me about perhaps 1 weekend for a small project. For the larger ones, probably about 2 or 3 weekends to complete.
His freelance gigs grew and grew. 7 years later, Nicholas left the comfort and security of a corporate job and ventured into his own business.
A lot of my close friends and family asked me if I had thought carefully about my decision, and I mentioned that I have spent quite some time thinking about it, and I think that it's a good time for me to try this out. If not, then when would be a good time?
At 26, Nicholas took out $35,000 of savings and started his one-man web design business, Verztec Consulting, in 2000. And business grew quickly, even in the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis.
A lot of companies still did not have their own online presence, and they wanted to build their digital presence online, so there was still an increasing need for the services that I was in. They would approach me asking if I could help set up their corporate email system, and some of them also asked if I could help them with the rebranding of their company's logo. I haven't been here for like about 7 years. And this is the place where I actually got my first office after I left my first job. The place was rented at about $1,000 a month, and roughly about 600 square feet. I started with a team about 3 people here, and the team grew to a size about 5 persons. So we were here for about 3 years before we decided to look for a new place and expand further from there.
In the first year, Nicholas was earning $100,000, but most of it went into the office rent and the salaries of 2 staff he hired.
I remember not paying myself anything, for when I started the business. I just wanted to make sure that there was a profit at the end of the year.
Just now we were having discussion on
3 years into the business, the company struck its biggest contract, a $100,000 web design project with French motor oil and industrial lubricant producer Motul. This became a turning point for the company.
The Motul project actually gave us a glimpse into what the world will be like in the digital space in a few years down the line. From there, I got to know that any business that eventually have a web presence would want to be able to reach to a global audience, and the only way that you would be able to reach a global audience would be to speak their language. So I decided to build my capabilities around the language services.
The addition of translation services was the breakthrough to new sources of revenue for the company. But it would also mean that Verztec needed to expand beyond Singapore, and that is another set of challenges that Nicholas will face. The success of his first overseas office spurred Nicholas to open a sales office in London. It took the London office 5 years to turn profitable.
They are not willing to make the switch and make the change. So that was really tough for us.